Hi, I'm Jimmy Colefax, and this is The Story. We're continuing with Shelley Scowen chatting with Bruce and Terri Connell, the directors of Kimberly Cruise Centre and also the pastors of King's Church in Kununurra, Western Australia. And as we've been hearing, they both love to get out and see God's creation. And they also love to help other people enjoy the beautiful Kimberley region. Now, here's more of their story.
God just continues to bless us, and he said at one stage, don't give up on the ship. And we were at that time deciding whether or not to sell that travel agency business, and we felt God was saying, no, don't do that. And since we then held on to it, he's just blessed it beautifully and been able to support us in running our church and the things that we need. And what we see these days is people like Steve Grace, who's been up here several times for us to do some outreach concerts. Bruce and Steve had a vision several years ago to invite other people to come on tour with him and see the Kimberley as a tour during some concerts that Steve would be running across the Kimberley. And The first one we did was a few years ago, and about 40 people were on that tour. And it was just a wonderful success because those people came along to have a look at what Steve Grace was doing in his ministry, mostly with the Aboriginal people across the Kimberley, but also those people got to see places like Iki Gorge and El Questro with all the gorges and waterfalls that you can swim in out there, and then across to Broome and Winjana Gorge and see all the crocodiles. And so a ministry tour mixed in with having opportunity to see the Kimberley.
Yeah.
So we've continued to do that sort of thing right up till today.
Yeah, it's a great initiative where people can combine a few of their different loves and, have a wonderful trip for various different reasons. I love that whole idea.
And another part of that too, Shelley, was that part of the dream was that we would connect people, say, from the city, because, as you know, like a lot of people are interested in missions and getting out and doing something that's beyond their own doorsteps. And one of the things out here, we've found a lot of people come out here, like ministry people come out here with a vision, with a dream, and then they're sort of under-resourced. And I just know that from our early city days that there'd be lots of people who, if they knew what the dreams and the visions of these people were, then they'd be wanting to come along and help them, you know. And that's already happened. A few of the people that we've brought on these tours, I mean, a lot of people just come along and we just have a great time anyway. But then on their own initiative, you know, part of the tour is meeting other ministry people across the Kimberley. So, like, there's some churches in Kununurra that have already been other churches other than ours that have people come along and help them out during the season that came on tours with us. And then there's Halls Creek and Fitzroy Crossing and Derby, and there's some tremendous works out there going on at the moment. You know, like there's in Derby, there's Paul White's got 3 planes, and he's got chaplains going into 12 communities a week, every week, and it's just some amazing stuff. And it's like it's not funded by any government thing or anything. It's just been a dream that God has funded for them, and you know, and then churches in Broome again, we've been able to connect back again with them after we had 10 years there, and then we've been in Kununurra now 10 years, and so we've been able to connect up people in those churches with people from cities and share the vision, share the dream, and all sort of connected up together. So it's we've seen the beginnings anyway. I think there's going to be a lot more.
Yeah, God certainly put you there for a reason, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be. It put us out here a long way from trouble, I think.
Yeah, it keeps you out of trouble, though. Yeah. Well, you are kept out of trouble in that I'm sure you must be very busy people. Running a business is a more than full-time job. Being a pastor is a more than full-time job as well. So I don't know, how do you manage to do both?
We delegate a lot.
Yeah.
We found that's the key. We found that we were able to invite more people in the church to start taking on roles that we felt that they were ready for.
That's great.
And to let them have a go. And that's what we see with the New Testament church, that people were involved and they were motivated and they were excited to get about God's business in different ways. And we were finding that here, that people in church, and even people in churches around our city, well, not a city, it's a town, around Kununurra, we're starting to find that a few of them are more motivated than before. We're even involved with some of those people and inviting them to join us in different roles to work together, I guess. I was just talking with one other lady today from another church and how she can get more involved in some things that we're doing, and she's quite excited about that. So we found delegating a lot of things that we were doing to others, and we're really excited, particularly in the last 2 years, that those people have really stepped up and they're doing a great job. There's such things like Aboriginal ministry with children on the streets, and like various men's meetings and counselling roles, all those sorts of things. We're just starting to see them really taking off and doing well.
Do you find that people are kind of sitting there almost just waiting to be asked? Like, it doesn't actually take a whole lot of convincing for some people to get them to step up and do these roles?
Yes, definitely. Although I'm finding more so lately that people being asked are much more willing. A few years ago, we tried this and there were very few who wanted to have a go, whereas I think it's more like that. I guess we were praying, saying and asking God, we need some help. It was too much for us at one stage, and it's almost, I guess, like God heard that prayer and started to soften the hearts of other people that were ready to step into some roles, because I was surprised then in re-asking them that they were a lot more keen to say, yes, I'll have a go. So that's certainly been an answer to prayer in a few areas for us.
Yeah. I know that's one of the signs of good leadership anyway, is to be training up the people underneath you to almost do yourself out of a job, in that it's so important to have people that are getting trained up, the next generation, the next people, so that if you guys get hit by a bus, the church won't stop running. Or if God calls you on somewhere else, it's not like the church is going to fall to pieces, because you've got people strategically in these roles and you're training them up, as I say, nearly to put yourself out of a job.
Ideally, yes. And I mean, that's really the mission for every church, isn't it? To get people involved, and because every Christian has gifts that God gives, and needs the opportunity to develop those and to work in those particular areas, and then it all just brings God the glory that He deserves. People out there having a go, and it also motivates people, it excites people when they're able to use their giftings and see things happen, see people come to salvation and growing in their faith because they're having a go.
You mentioned a few of the ministries of your church there. It sounds like you have quite a big focus on outreach there.
Yeah, most of what we do is focused towards outreach. About half our church now is Aboriginal, and so that's quite different to how we would work with non-Aboriginal groups, if you like. The way that we consult with them and things that they do. We have two of our leaders are Aboriginal ladies, and they help us in working out how to approach the different groups to reach them. Whereas with for example, we've got other groups that there are more white ladies involved in that, and it's totally different dynamics again. So there's a lot of cross-cultural work that goes on, if you like, but it's taken a lot of years to work out how to do that, how to manage that and balance it. And I quite often see that it's like living on another island with two totally different people groups, and how to bring those together and to be able to work effectively and successfully and keep pointing us all to God in the one mission, if you like.
Yeah, it is interesting where we can just look at things from two different perspectives, and then obviously having to look at it from God's perspective as well, and really having to dig back into the Bible to go, okay, well, I think it's this, you think it's that. Let's see what God says, and maybe we're both wrong, maybe we're both right. It must have presented some interesting challenges. Yeah. I love the thinking, because the general population, you said about that your church is approximately 50% Indigenous. The general area, though, has about a similar kind of proportion, doesn't it?
That's right.
It is, yes. Kununurra itself is half and half.
Yeah.
Shirley, when we had Steve Grace was here a couple of weeks ago, we had a concert, and we looked around the hall, and there was 15 nationalities represented there.
Wow.
Yeah, so So it's like we've become pretty multicultural up here too. So I mean,
Yeah.
Bruce probably even more so, but there's a pretty broad spectrum up here.
Well, I think you guys are a bit of an inspiration. I guess just serving God and where He's put you. Hey, like just listening to you talking, you know, God told us to do this, so we did. And God told us to do that, so we did. And I think that's the most important thing, even when, you know, his directing might sound a little bit far-fetched or a bit full-on. Like, you had that vision of the shop and, you know, there it was in the street when you went and found it. I guess that's a pretty clear guidance too. But it's so great that you said yes to God, because that's really the best place to be, is in the middle of His will, hey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having a bit of a chat with us this morning and telling your story.
It's great. Thanks, Shelley.
If you'd like
See you
to...
in the Kimberley one day.
I was going to say, if you'd like to know more about Bruce and Terry's business, then head to kimberlycruises.com. Some beautiful photos, if nothing else, of the scenery, and that will be enough to whet your appetite and want to jump on one of their boats. kimberlycruises.com to catch up and find out more. Thanks so much.
God bless you. Thanks, Shelley.
Bye-bye.
Well, I don't know about you, but after hearing Bruce and Terri Connell chat with Shelley Scowen about the Kimberley region, I'm getting a little curious to have a look myself. It sounds like a very special place to live or visit, full of God's beautiful and wondrous creation. To learn more about that area, a good place to start is Bruce and Terry's website, kimberlycruises.com. That's kimberlycruises.com. Bruce and Terri are the directors of Kimberly Cruise Centre and would be happy to answer any questions you have. Also, while you're in the area, make sure you stop by King's Church in Kununurra, where Bruce and Terri are the pastors. They'd love to worship with you. Finally, we'll end with these Bible verses. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the works of His hands. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, His eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made. Well, thanks for joining us for Bruce and Terry's story. I'm Jimmy Colefax, encouraging you to share your story with someone today.
Next time on The Story.
It's been a roller coaster ride. I really understand what Jesus went through, being persecuted by half the people and loved by the other half.
We kind of had at least 2 levels of government trying to close us down. We had a Christian school take us to playing an environment court because we didn't want us in their backyard. Yeah, it was really, it's been quite traumatic in the last 5 years.
But I tell you what, it's so worth it when you get a couple of people off drugs.
Jason and Lisa Lokes are the founders and general managers of Sheltered by Grace, a homeless shelter located just south of Brisbane. They'll share their story and how the Lord led them to start the shelter next time.
The Story. Just another way Vision is connecting faith to life.